La Voyage dans la Lune.
Oui.
Trip to the Moon. It's so good.
It is really good.
Like it deserves its place.
Yeah.
I think because we like Méliès, but this is a cut above.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He's outdone himself. I've been watching all these movies on my laptop for the most part. This one I was like, it's going on the TV. I'm getting the family together. We're gonna get snack. We didn't get snacks, but I was like, I made a big deal out of it.
Oh, nice.
Also, like my parents hadn't seen it, so I was like, you got to watch this old movie. It's great.
What do they think?
They were like, it's weird, and I was like, you're not wrong.
I tried to do that, but everyone was like, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
put it on the TV as well, and
mean-
I played it from a Blu-ray that I stole from work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is magical.
Yeah, yeah. And it like what I was saying before, it really sweeps you up into it.
Yeah,
You know?
it's very fast paced. Other than maybe the like first scene or two, which goes on a little bit long, I think.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't think it outstays its welcome necessarily.
No, no, it doesn't. I'm just nitpicking at that point.
It's building. You know, it's building to this big moment. I
Yeah.
think.
And it's true and that works. You're sort of like, when are they going to get to the moon? And so when they finally get to the moon, it's like it feels like a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where to start on this stuff?
Where to start?
I mean, I feel like it is sort of Méliès pushing himself in a lot of ways. Like, the sets are probably the most elaborate he's ever done. There's like a lot of moving pieces in the sets. They're not like simple backdrops or sort of like. There's a lot of like mechanical or like physical stuff in the set work.
Yeah, it's super impressive and super imaginative. And speaking of the sets, if we're gonna jump around a little bit in the content of the movie, there are some scenes that are the way that the sets are painted. They're really like reaching out diagonally through the frame, like the cannon that shoots the bullet into the moon.
Classic.
It's painted in such an evocative, like, I don't even know what to say. It looks almost deco. It's very just this imposing thing that's cutting through the frame. And there's another scene where the scientists are kind of surveying the whole work site when they're building the cannon, and they're standing off on the right, and then like deeply into the background you see behind them the whole scene playing out like in miniature to sell the kind of very far away effect. And it's like one of the more, like, you could call it deep focus, but it's like it's emulating this type of shot that is, I don't know, it's not even necessarily possible in real life. But
right, yeah. Well, like with what is it, Gulliver's Travels, he's doing a lot with scale, and he's doing that mostly with the sets and sort of like building them in the way that they feel massive. Like like with the cannon and things like that, like he'll build just part of it. And so you'll see just like you'll like see something far away, and then you'll see a set of it closer up, and so you getting this sense of like this is just one piece of something that's really huge.
Yeah, that's true. A close up in the Méliès sense, which is
close up, which is it's sort of, you know, the camera is moving closer to something, but the people aren't really getting any closer to the camera.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can go over it. I think many of you have seen this. I was in the kind of realm where I'd seen it, and I've probably seen it a couple times, but it all just kind of faded into my memory. You know, I never like sat down and said like Trip to the Moon, you know.
Tonight we watch Trip to the Moon.
And I highly recommend that everybody go and watch this.
Yeah.
More than anything so far. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it is it's a bunch of astronomers who are at some. I think it's called the Astronomy Club. It's like this science hall, and I didn't know that they were called. It was called the Astronomy Club when I watched it, and so I was like, oh, this is a bunch of scientist wizards.
Yeah, no, that was also my assumption. They're all dressed like in sort of like Halloween wizard costumes with like the star and moon hats and robes.
It's so cool. It made me really wish that scientists nowadays would all just dress up in wizard costumes and just
Yeah.
be the lords of the unknown, you know?
Well, and even in the context of the movie too, I think they are kind of scientist wizards because they all hold out their telescopes and turn them into chairs, which they then sit on. Which is, I don't think just any old astronomer can do that. I think you have to be an astronomer magician.
And so they one of the people whose name is Professor Barbenfoulis.
How did I say it before?
Barbenfoulis.
Barbenfoulis, I think, is how. Barbenfoulis.
Professor Barbacoa. He wants to. He draws on a chalkboard. This is another like great scene of like anticipation. You know, he's presenting his idea to go to the moon, and so he draws on a chalkboard like his plan to build a cannon to launch them to the moon and everything.
The plan visualized in this case of him drawing a dotted line on the chalkboard to the moon.
It's simple but effective.
Barbenfoulis, by the way, is French for tangled beard, which is a nice little in joke for all the French.
And yeah, like a lot of them go, "You're crazy! I can't believe it! Go to the moon, ridiculous!" Yeah. But then some of them they end up kind of coming around, and five other astronauts, or soon to be astronauts, but science wizards at this point, join him on his journey. And they are Nostradamus, Alcofrisbus, Omega, Micromegas, and Parafaragaramus. Parafaragaramus.
They are all Transformers.
So they in almost a they begin building the cannon. It goes to a scene of like a bunch of workers that are like putting together the metal and everything like that,
building a giant bullet for them to travel in.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And they kind of observe it. Then they go to the next scene, which is the one that I was talking about, where they are on the far right edge of the frame, and from like 5 miles away, and looking down in at the construction site, and there's a bunch of fire and smoke and things as the thing's being built.
Yeah, it's sort of it's a painted backdrop, but there's like actual like smoke effects and things like that to kind of sell there's like smokestacks with real smoke coming out of them to kind of sell that this is way in the background and not just a painting.
Yeah, so good. It looks great.
Yeah.
And then they are there's one of them. Probably the second most famous shot from this is when they are loading the bullet into the cannon, the bullet that they travel inside of.
Which I was reading the like a lot of the sort of like smaller context of this movie. This movie works incredibly well with absolutely no context.
Which is great because like they've been relying on fairy tales for you to understand the context of what's happening, but this one is strong enough in its storytelling for you to understand without that. But yeah, go on.
But reading the sort of like original notes from it, the people who are loading the bullet into the cannon are supposed to be I guess Marines or some sort of military force, but they're all played by women in sailor outfits, which also in this like fantasy world that Méliès has created, where wizard magicians scientists exist and go to and shoot themselves into the moon. Also, like, the armed forces of France is like women in sailor costumes. But yeah, it's another piece of like great set work where like they climb into this big bullet.
Yeah.
Which is like,
and it takes up the whole frame.
Yeah, and then a bunch of women in sailor costumes pushes it into the back of a cannon.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of kind of fanfare. There's all these like onlookers and people directing the operations and everything, and it's like really building. It's building.
Yeah,
it's great, and you're getting more of these close-ups of the machinery and the chrome and brass and everything. It feels very H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, which is clearly an inspiration on this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I guess, I don't know if Méliès directly, like, cited those authors, but there were two books from around the time, From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne, I think, and then there was another one by H.G. Wells. I've read the title, but just based on the Wikipedia, it seems pretty clear that those are, like, his main influences for this movie. And then... Big moment. The cannon goes off. There's a big puff of smoke at the end of the like painted cannon backdrop.
Yeah.
Which really helps sell it. And then we get arguably one of the most iconic shots in film history.
Yes.
Which is the bullet hitting the eye of the moon.
Yeah. Which, I'm used to seeing this in black and white. The color version was only discovered / restored about 10 years ago. And so people, the one that people are familiar with is the Moon Man, the kind of melty face Pizza the Hut Moon Man. Just getting the bullet ships shot into his eye in black and white. But in the color version, his eye starts bleeding, which I'd never seen before. That. Yeah.
Gruesome.
Yeah. It brought a new context to the scene, because I assume that was intended, because these are the original colors on the colored version of the print. So yeah, it's that classic shot of the camera moving closer and closer to the moon, and then it lands in, and it's very, very gruesome, as you said.
Which is, this is the only shot which is like, there were a lot of like smaller effect shots in this, of like multiple exposures or like substitution splices, but nothing like too crazy. Whereas thinking about this shot, it is a much more sort of complex visual effect than anything else in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to the Man
with the Rubber Head.
Man with the Rubber Head effect from last year.
But yeah, it's combining that with a couple other, like, because then the backdrop doesn't move, so it's clearly like either a cutout or like a multiple exposure thing happening there with the moon getting bigger, and then there's a substitution splice with the bullet appearing in the moon's eye.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And this is another classic Méliès moon face, which he loves.
Right. His most famous moon face.
Yeah. And this one with a human and not some gnashing demon moon.
Yeah, it's not a giant like cardboard moon with big teeth. It's like you said, a Pizza the Hut looking moon man. And yeah, it is a great example of Méliès's kind of like magical realism in his movies of like.
Yeah.
I mean, the scale of this shot does not match anything else in the rest of the movie, whereas the bullet that hits the moon eye is, about a quarter the size of the entire moon. Not that big, maybe an eighth the size of the moon. But then the next shot, we see the bullet landing on the moon in a much more sort of like, I say realistic, but it's still like a bullet landing on the moon in a 1902 film.
Right. Yeah.
But compared to landing in the eye, it's more like
it's not fanciful. It's not fanciful in the same way as a moon face man who,
Yeah.
you know,
It's not metaphorical like the Moon Man is.
Right, exactly. And so what you do see them land on is another beautiful set.
Yeah.
Which is this lunar surface with all of these spires and like natural spires and weird landscapes, and then you see the bullet kind of arrive and land on the ground.
Yeah. And I think a practical effect of it just kind of like getting brought in on a track or a string or something.
Yeah. And then the science wizards get out. And
no spacesuits, just umbrellas and top hats.
That's right. I forgot that when they get ready to go onto the moon in the beginning, they take off their wizard gowns and they put on like explorer clothes.
Yeah, they put on like tailcoats and boots.
And so they look out on the horizon of the moon and they see the Earth rise over the horizon.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Which is, I mean, it's a really cool shot. And it really kind of sells this thing, but it also makes me think no one had been to the moon. They didn't know what looking back at the Earth was like, and he kind of nails it. Yeah,
more or less.
Not that I've been to the moon, but I've seen pictures.
This is very interesting to me from the perspective of, you know, what did a person from the 19th century think that the moon would look like?
Yeah,
that the moon would the system of what space of how space works and what the surface of the moon is like, whether there are mushrooms there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It turns out Méliès's vision of the moon is much cooler, I think, than the real moon. There are a lot more spires and a lot more mushrooms. I also like how immediately after this, the explorers decide they want to, hit the hay. They want to spend the night.
Yeah.
So they'll get out their blankets and lie down.
Just sleep under the stars, but on the moon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then a bunch of stars show up. We get a bunch of faces in the stars, which is kind of cool. We get a bunch of like astrological, like gods appear in the sky.
Yeah, a moon god, a Saturn. I don't know if these are actual gods, but Saturn and a star all appear, like in Astronomer's Dream, if I remember correctly, like with kind of a person sitting on them. Hanging from the ceiling, representing sort of the god of the moon or whatever.
Yeah. I guess just kind of looking down, like, hey, there's people on the moon now.
Good job, science wizards.
Yeah, but then they wake up and head off into. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens next.
They go into a cavern down below.
They see a shooting star before that, though, don't they?
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah,
there's a shooting star. It looks cool. They go down into a cavern, and the cavern set is another just amazing backdrop set piece. The whole thing is full of mushrooms. There's a waterfall. It looks great, especially with the hand colored version. If you watch that one, it'll be on the YouTube. And then all of them are holding umbrellas because that's just naturally what you do when you go to the moon. One of them opens his umbrella
to protect you from the gamma rays.
Yeah. One of them opens his umbrella and sticks it into the ground, where it becomes a mushroom and starts to grow.
Yeah. And then
thereby alerting the indigenous moon men.
Which they get fleshed out more, but I wrote a moon imp appears and attacks them.
It is a moon imp. I mean, we later in a few minutes will discover there's a whole culture of moon imps living on the moon. But of course, Méliès is like, gotta have an imp in there.
Gotta.
If not one imp, many, many imps.
So the imp starts like doing backflips and walking weird and kind of attacks them.
I love the like initial reveal of the imp on all like the weird acrobatics he does. He does like the thing where he kind of wraps his legs over his arms and scuttles on the ground.
kind of like a dog with an itchy butt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just great because it's like this sort of, kind of spooky moment of introducing this sinister moon imp.
Yeah, and kind of making it move weirdly to sell its otherworldliness.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this thing doesn't walk like a normal person. It walks like a dog scratching its butt. I read on Wikipedia that this was, I think, his most expensive movie that he made up to this point. Mm-hmm. And apparently a lot of that had to do with getting the Moon Imp costumes made.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
This was 10,000 francs that it cost to make,
and that's in 1902 money.
Yeah, this is much more than anything else that he'd made so far.
Then we get one of the explorers hits the Moon Imp with his umbrella, and he explodes in a puff of smoke. Standard, just kind of substitution splice, puff of smoke. He's gone.
Yeah. Though, like, that is sort of the way that they're defeated. They all explode in puffs of smoke, which is
on impact.
Yeah. Once more of them start appearing and fighting and dying, it's just all of this is like. Pff, pff,
yeah.
Pff.
Which, I mean, we've seen Méliès do that so many times at this point, of like someone disappearing in a puff of smoke. Mm-hmm. But this movie is like the what is it? It's the reference point of that effect. Kind of.
Yeah,
it's like
so. Yeah.
It really, I feel like, at least me, when I think of that sort of like someone disappearing in a puff of smoke in this way, I'm like, oh yeah, like Trip to the Moon. So that's kind of cool.
Well, eventually the imps and the Moon Men, whoever, they start. They capture the scientists,
right?
And they take them.
Sorry, there is a canonical name, I think, for the Moon Imps.
Oh yeah.
According to the original paperwork, I guess, from the movie, or like what they would have shown to the audience, like the program.
Selenites.
Right. Derived from
lunar inhabitants.
Derived from the goddess Selene of the moon, I believe. Mm-hmm. So the Selenites show up and capture the explorers.
I wish you'd let me call them Moon Imps, but okay.
We can continue to call them Moon Imps. I just wanted to point out that there is a canonical name.
Okay. Oh, we'll the Selenites. So they take them to their king, basically, once they're captured.
Right.
There's dozens of them, all in like a kind of like castle guards around this throne.
Yeah, there's a moon palace. A lot of the Moon Imps or Selenites have kind of spears.
Yeah, they look somewhat aquatic, somewhat reptilian,
somewhat skeleton-y.
Yeah.
They get brought into like kind of a throne room.
This was the point watching the movie, by the way, where I was like, oh wow, like he really the fancifulness is being fleshed out, in this really compelling way. Like he has created this moon society.
Yeah.
And this is our peek into this complete other world.
The moon culture.
Yeah. So they bring the captured scientists up to the king, and they didn't capture them very well because the scientists immediately bust out, attack the king, and he dies in a puff of smoke.
Well, they attack the king by like grabbing him off of his throne and like swinging him over his head and smashing him on the ground. He like done with an effect, like he runs over to him. There's a splice. The king becomes a dummy king, and then I'm pretty sure it's Méliès as Barbenfuilis just kind of thrashes him onto the ground since it's a dummy, and it just like all his limbs fly everywhere.
Yeah, which is another classic Méliès effect.
Yeah, it never will not be funny. It makes me laugh every single time it happens. It's so funny. And yeah, he explodes in a puff of smoke. everyone, goes nuts, and the scientists make their escape.
Yep. And so in a chase scene that actually does understand screen direction.
Yeah.
They run off to the left, and you see a couple shots of them running through the alien landscape and the aliens chasing after them, and they make their way back to their pod. The scientists clamber into the pod, and as they are at the pod and making their way over, they're kind of taking out the aliens as they chase them.
It's little fights with the Selenites as they're being chased.
The last wizard isn't able to get into the pod quite in time, but the pod also needs help getting off of the moon. So he jumps onto it, and there's like a string on the front end of the bullet, and so he hangs on the string to pull the bullet off of the cliffside that it is on.
So it will fall back to Earth, presumably.
This confused me for a second, because I thought it just fell into the water, into like an ocean on the moon. But they literally like pulled it off of a cliff on the moon, and then it fell all the way back down to Earth.
Yeah.
So I guess that from the moon's perspective, that would have been a cliff up.
It's Méliès logic.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But one of the aliens kind of grabs on the back end of the bullet, and travels with them all the way down to Earth. And you see a shot of the moon. You see a shot through space of one of the astronauts holding on at the bottom, the bullet, and then the moon man at the top, and the little miniature version of the three of them kind of drift down through the frame from a really pulled back angle. They splash down in the water.
The one shot on location is the ocean.
Oh yeah, true. Or is it because they have like a little fake ship that they?
I think that was also shot in his studio.
Well, a big ship picks them up and drags them back to shore.
Another thing too that he got right is like you got to land in the ocean. Like a pod crashing down in the ocean and getting picked up is like exactly how we get back from the moon.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's so interesting to see how accurately it was predicted. I mean, because we know there are moon men and mushrooms up there. But they come back triumphant. There's a big party.
A parade? Even?
A parade. And it turns out that they have captured this stowaway alien to do autopsies
to do horrible things to.
Yeah. For the sake of their science, they've captured this savage moon man.
Yeah.
And they have him in a net, and they drag him through the parade.
That's where the gross colonialist stuff comes in.
Yeah, which has been asserted that it is ironic, I suppose. I don't know how much it felt like that, because it does feel like somewhat of a colonialist movie, but apparently even before he made movies, Méliès did political cartoons, many of which satirized colonialism and were not very into it.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe moon people aren't people to Méliès. But the movie ends with a statue a statue that was erected of one of the space wizards, and he's got his foot up on a little miniature moon with a bullet in its eye, and he's standing triumphantly above the moon as we have conquered space. What is next in our journey to conquer everything? The end.
Yeah. Great film. I was just reminded just then of how many movies from around this time end on some sort of like tableau kind of representing the entire movie. A sort of like triumphant single image that feels more like almost a collage. It's usually
it's
like
sometimes
a
it's kind of like
rising.
Like a bow, or a curtain call kind of thing. Yeah. But then also like sort of we have finished the movie, so party, like
Right.
in the Magic Sword last week.
Yeah, a lot of them end that way too. We have finished the movie, so no party. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. What else to say about this one?
Well, again, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing, this was extremely popular when it came out. And Méliès had already been dealing with a lot of scummy Americans stealing his movies and releasing them as their own or just copies of them. And so in response to the extreme amount of piracy from this movie, the next year in 1903, he formally created an American branch of his film company, which was done by his brother Gaston.
Gaston Méliès.
And so that was so that he could have local American distribution for all of his movies. And I believe it is from that point where he started filming everything with two cameras, one for the international market and one for the domestic market.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One big sort of takeaway from this movie is how watchable it is.
Yeah.
Like we had kind of touched on before, it requires no additional context to fully understand what is happening in every scene. You don't need intertitles. You don't need to have any pre-existing knowledge of what, trip to the moon stories are. Like it's very clear and direct, just through visuals, what is happening.
Yeah. And the visuals tell the story, and unlike a lot of other movies of this time, the framing doesn't seem haphazard, and the framing brings you into the story and helps tell the story. The shot composition and the shot choices and everything. A lot of movies from this time can be really visually confusing, but this one definitely isn't.
It's well paced. It kind of starts a little slow, but then ramps up, and is by the end of it, it's like a lot of stuff is happening all at once, but you're with it. It's exciting. It's got chases and fights and spectacle and all kinds of fun stuff. It is rewatching it both in its historical context and also from a modern eye. I do think it's deserving of its place in film history, I think.
Yeah.